Hello my friends and welcome to my pronunciation course, The British Vibe, the course that will help you increase your confidence, expand your working opportunities and consequently earn more money thanks to mastering and speaking with a beautiful modern RP accent. So why modern RP? Why this, not any other accent of the UK? We all know that there are many accents spoken in the UK. There are accents spoken in some regions of the UK, accents spoken in some cities of the UK, and even accents spoken in some parts of some cities. For example, Cockney, which is spoken only in the East End of London. So why not just study Cockney? That's a beautiful accent too. Why modern RP? And here are a couple of reasons for this. From a practical point of view, modern RP is spoken by more people. Simply like that, it's spoken by more people. So there is no point choosing regional accent or the accent spoken in a small community, right? We need to pick something that is spoken by more people, and that's modern RP. Secondly, RP or received pronunciation, RP stands for received pronunciation, is exactly that British pronunciation, that standard British pronunciation we're used to hearing on BBC Radio or World News Service, and that's the accent associated with British pronunciation. That's RP or traditional RP. We will, however, study not the traditional RP, but modern RP, the modern version of that classical RP accent. And in order to understand the difference and to understand why this accent is so popular and how traditional RP evolved into modern RP, let me tell you a little bit of history. In the 17th century, England was an empire. It was a British empire with many colonies around the world. India, North America, South Africa, and others. And for the first time in history, there was a need to teach English as foreign language and to create English dictionaries for foreigners learning English. And once there were this question, so they needed to create the dictionary, they had to choose what accent to teach, what accent to choose to teach to foreigners, and what accent to choose to represent British pronunciation in general, because you couldn't teach all accents, you had to choose just one. So traditional RP was chosen for this reason, and that was the accent spoken in south of England in the 17th century, and that accent is also called Queen's English. The Queen Elizabeth I spoke traditional RP. Now there are two little issues with this traditional RP, because on the one hand, it's we are not in the 17th century anymore, and people don't speak like Queen Elizabeth I anymore, right? So this accent is really old-fashioned, and if you speak with traditional RP, you sound really like pretentious and old-fashioned. So people in southern England don't speak like that anymore these days. However, traditional RP is still widely taught in universities, in good schools, in public institutions, and traditional RP became the accent that, it's associated with education, and it's regionally non-specific and neutral. So when you speak traditional RP, people don't know where you're from. They can't guess. And the curious fact is that they understand that you're not a native speaker, because nobody in England speaks traditional RP anymore. Well, okay, 3% of population, which is like nothing, like elderly people mostly. So if you're not old and if you're not like Queen's blood and you speak traditional RP, people think, okay, so you've studied in university, you received good education, I can't really understand where you're coming from, but you're definitely not a native speaker. So if you don't want to sound like an old chap, and if you want to sound modern, if you want to sound like a real native speaker from south of England, we need to study modern RP, because traditional RP has evolved in modern RP. Modern RP is also called contemporary RP or standard Southern British English, and it kind of has features of traditional RP, of course, but also some features of Cockney, such as glottalization, such as like vowel clipping. There are many new features of connected speech, different features of intonation. Some individual sounds are different. So, you know, on the one hand, many features of traditional RP remained, but on the other, there are so many changes, and that's exciting. That's absolutely exciting. So we are going to study modern RP, the accent of new modern generations. And when I say new, young, modern generations, I don't mean like 13 years old teenagers. I mean people under 50. You know, I mean, that's young generation, people under 50. So if you don't want to speak as 70 years old chap from somewhere, right? So we will study modern RP. Modern RP is also the accent spoken by many celebrities such as Emma Watson, Henry Cavill, Tom Holland, Millie Bobby Brown, Keira Knightley, etc. The accent you can hear on Netflix in modern TV series, modern British TV series. That's modern RP, the accent of nowadays. The curious and a little bit upsetting fact is that despite all these changes, evolution of accent, traditional RP is still taught at schools and universities. So if you open any English course book, you will see the classic traditional RP chart, not the modern RP chart, and you will see traditional pronunciation. And, you know, this just doesn't represent reality. This just doesn't represent the real England of these days. So in this course, we're going to study modern tendencies, the way people speak these days in England. And we will look at IPA chart, we will look at modern sounds. You will see different symbols that you have probably never seen before, but those more accurately representing how people speak these days. We will look at features of connected speech, modern features of connected speech, something that probably you wouldn't hear in old films, or probably royal family wouldn't use those features of connected speech, but real people are using them every single day. Same intonation also has changed a little bit, but let's say not the intonation per intonation, but the general pitch of voice people use when speak. The course consists of 8 big pre-recorded lessons. There is 1 lesson to watch per week, and every lesson builds on the knowledge of the previous lesson. So altogether, all 8 lessons, they create logical and easy to understand system of sound articulation, connected speech and intonation. The thing that the material is logically connected is extremely important. So it's not like we study thing in the lesson 1 and then never see that again, but we will keep learning, looking back to it and recycling for the whole duration of the course to guarantee that you master absolutely every sound, every feature of connected speech, every pattern of intonation till perfection. Every lesson is followed by a set of 4 or 5 pronunciation speaking exercises that you'll have to record and send to me. And I'll give you my individual feedback on that. I'm going to say what you're doing really well. I'm going to say what needs to be fixed, what's causing the problem in your specific case, how to fix that, give you techniques, additional examples, and that will be absolutely day by day, daily work for 10 weeks, for 2.5 months. Importantly, that what we study on week 1 is going to be recycled on week 2, week 3, week 4, till the end of the course. So again, we are going to repeat, reinforce and build our new pronunciation habits to guarantee that by the end of the course, you'll have fully mastered modern RP accent and you have absolutely changed the way you sound in English.